Welcome to Velocity, the Vista Chamber podcast. I'm your host, Vista Chamber CEO Rachel Beld, and it is my privilege to interview the movers, shakers, and change makers impacting the Vista community and beyond. Today's guest is someone who spends his days helping other people share their story. Terry Woods is the publisher of the North County Daily Star, which covers news, events, and sports in North County, mostly in the communities along the 78 freeway, but also in Bonsall, Fallbrook, and beyond. While I was researching for this episode, I could find very little info about Terry personally on the internet. Yet I know him relatively well, as Terry's a member of the Vista Chamber Board of Directors, currently serving as secretary. In addition, Terry's kind of everywhere, part paparazzi, part community cheerleader. So you rarely attend an event in Vista and you don't see Terry or Kathy Woods. So today I'm excited to get to know him a little bit better right along with all of you, all of our listeners. So let's dig in. Welcome, Terry. Glad to have you here.
It's a privilege to be here and humbled.
Yeah, thank you. So glad to have you. So now I did learn, just as we were chatting before we started recording, that you moved to Vista in 1986.
Correct.
Okay. So tell me, where did you grow up?
Outside of Cleveland, a little town called Maple Heights.
That's a cute name.
Maple Heights. It was full of maple trees. That's why it was called Maple Heights.
Did you tap trees and have maple syrup?
No. Not that kind of tree.
Oh, okay.
Just very messy trees, though, seeds. But a beautiful, it was a great time of life. I mean, growing up in the 50s and things were simpler. And my dad was involved. He was involved with the chamber. And I think that's kind of where I got my activist mode from.
Yeah. Great. So what brought you to Vista in 1986?
Well, I went in the Air Force out of high school and spent 7 years in the Air Force. And then I was in the Northwest and I started doing business down here. And I called my wife up and I said, hey, I was spending a lot of time down here. And I said, why don't you just pack up like we're going on vacation? We'll see how long it lasts. And we got the car packed up and that was July 3rd, 1986, and we're still here.
That's great. So you raised your family here?
Yes.
And what was it like having your family here and raising kids here in Vista?
Well, that's where I kind of got involved with Vista because my son started playing Little League.
Okay.
And there was a need at that time, and still always is a need for baseball fields. And I started going to city council meetings and looking for fields. And that's kind of what got me involved. When we first moved here, I was doing child development in the home. I'd go into people's homes and we had a whole program. It included encyclopedias as part of it.
Okay.
Did that for like 13 years. But one of the things we needed was a postcard. And I came downtown Vista and found a printer, Eleanor Hutchins.
Okay.
And she was always an activist here in town. And I kind of got on her team, and that's when we got involved with downtown, pretty much from the very beginning.
Right.
And that's what brought us, that's where I got to know a lot of people, through that time.
That's great. So what do you think has changed the most about Vista since those early days when you first brought your family here on an extended vacation?
Yeah, still going on. I just say there's more of it, of Vista. Just Shadow Ridge, we lived on Melrose, off of Melrose there, and Shadow Ridge did not exist at that time. It was just starting.
Right.
So you can say that's a huge change, It's interesting how many people live in Shadow Ridge don't know anything about downtown. It's like a different part of the world or something.
It's interesting. Yeah, Vista really is a unique community in that we have the 78 freeway really bisect us in half. And so there's kind of the North Vista and the South Vista. But I think more people are learning about, North Vista is learning about what's on the south side, and South Vista is learning about more what's on the north side.
Well, there's more to attract them now than there ever has been.
Absolutely.
When they realigned Vista Way and at downtown area on Main Street we know it now, it laid there dormant for a long time.
Yes.
Nothing really happened. Leroy and Eva, they went in and opened up Hennessy's at that time.
Right.
And that was the only thing down there to draw people to. There was other things going on, but not That's going to bring people from other parts. Now people, it's an attraction. Downtown's an attraction now.
It's a fun place to be. I like to go there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. When I bring friends from other parts of San Diego and, hey, let's hang out in downtown Vista. We always have a great time, and they're like, this is fantastic. So it's so with the Avo and there, it's just small town feel to it. It's cool vibe.
Yeah, it really is.
It's good. So you mentioned that you did some child development and you moved here for business. So what were some of the business things that you did before you started the North County Daily Star?
How much time we got? Seriously,
we've got plenty of time. I'm interested in you. Terry. I really didn't realize what an enigma you were until I tried to dig up some info on you. And I thought, what do I know about Terry Woods, this man of mystery?
Well, what did I do? I've done a lot of different things.
Mostly in sales, mostly?
Oh, everything's
sales. So sales is the thread that went through it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I got involved with heating and air conditioning. I had a contract with a heating and air conditioning company here, and we had all the Costco's, and I built a team together that went into the Costco's to talk to the customers about the heating and air conditioning. Did that, and then SDG&E had a program going on with for retrofitting lighting, and that was an adventure that lasted about 5 years or so. Did all of Balboa Park, all the museums, refitted all their lights, and lots of over 400 some customers here in the North County.
Yeah,
it was an interesting period of time, and there's some other things probably too.
Well, it's interesting to me then to hear that you had such varied experiences. And sales was the thread kind of going through all of it. So it makes sense now that you're a publisher of an online publication where you tell all of these different stories and you connect all of these different parts of our community. How did that come to be? How did you go from retrofitting lights to having an online newspaper?
Need.
Okay.
A paycheck.
Yeah.
We also did street fair on Main Street.
Okay.
A farmer's market. It was very successful, but at that time the political situation wasn't correct for it to continue on.
Okay.
If we had been, it'd been 17 years, and that was before Oceanside started their Thursday night fair. So in my mind, we could still be having it here. The question was, what was the question?
How did you start the North County Daily Star? What led you to do that?
The Blade went out of business. All the North County newspapers were out of business, and we were sitting on the porch at Hennessy's at that time, and just said, "Hey, the Vista Press used to be around. Why don't we could do it online?" Because if you look at my phone, I have Maui News on my phone. It's an app, and I said we could do the same thing with this.
Yeah.
And it went from there.
Yeah.
And I just saw it more of the county, and Eleanor kind of just wanted to continue with the city.
Right.
So that's why we kind of went different directions. But
sure.
There's definitely a need, and it's still a huge need that hasn't been fulfilled by us. It can still grow because people love to know what's going on. And there's nowhere really. The UT's printed in Los Angeles, so they don't care about Vista much,
right?
Or North County.
Right. No, there really isn't anywhere else to get that volume of content about North County and, Vista specifically. And so, I know I check it every day and I get alerts from, when different things are posted.
Right.
And I know you utilize social media to share topics and stories. So that's great. So how do you find the stories that you publish?
It's grown through time. Just we have people who will send us stuff constantly, and then we have people. There's just so many different sources, and we just continue to dig.
Right.
I just dig around and find things, and being part of the chamber is real good because they know what's going on, and business-wise. And people just want to know what's going on, and it's very easy. How to find it, there's always new sources.
Sure.
And people want to contribute I'm very fortunate to have Tom Robertson who writes for us.
Yeah.
I got to almost slow him down. He's just always everywhere. Last night was city council meeting. Did you go?
I did not. It was my son's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yes, thank you.
But there's just a lot going on.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have a network of people who are doing it, but economics has a lot to do with when you run a business, you got to be able to pay that employee.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. So when you were growing up and in your life, were you kind of always in the know? Did people tell you things? Were you someone who people would seek you out and tell you, hey, did you hear about this? Did you always know the hot gossip?
I don't remember that part of my life. Nobody come and tell me that. Again, my dad was involved with the chamber. He was president of the chamber in Maple Heights. So at one time.
What was his business?
He was an insurance broker.
Okay.
He's a guy that after World War II, he had worked in a plant making parts for airplanes. And after World War II, he started out at Prudential on a debit account where you'd walk up and down the streets and try to sell insurance. And on Fridays, you went and picked up to $2 from the people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he got to know that town. And so he had his own agency. And, the mayor would come over to the house and the superintendent of schools. These were people who just hung out with us all the time. So maybe I did know what was going on.
Yeah.
We were a kid.
If you had dinner with the mayor, you probably did know the scoop.
And the priest and the nuns got thrown out of Catholic school when I was a kid.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some stories. We won't put those on.
That's all right.
Yeah. No. So it makes sense then that you kind of are filling a similar role. I mean, you have great partnerships with elected officials. Yeah. You have partnerships and friendships with people in all of the different organizations.
Right.
So it kind of makes sense that you had that example from your dad.
Yeah, it was.
That's cool. Your dad would probably be pretty proud of you.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
My oldest brother, he subscribes and he comments on my publication. Let's put it that way.
Oh, that's good. My brother listens to my podcast too.
Oh, yeah. Hi, brother.
Yeah. So hey, Randall, how are you? Okay. So I have some more questions for you.
One of the things, let me tell you about Vista. My first trip through Vista.
Oh, good.
When I came back from Vietnam, I was stationed at Norton Air Force Base.
Okay.
And on Sundays, we get in the car and go for a ride. And we took the 395 and we came through this little town and they were having a festival. And I said, what a neat little town. And
you do love a good festival.
Oh, yes. Strawberry.
Yeah.
And so, it was my first memories of Vista was from 1970, and it wasn't the town it is now. And not knowing in 1986 I'd end up back here.
Yeah.
I'm glad I did.
Wow, that's a good story. It's interesting. I talk to a lot of people here on the podcast, but also just in my dealings with businesses and with people. And so many people talk about how Vista feels like home. I mean, Danny Villasenor talked about Pepper Tree is really home for people. I just had Don Hine on the podcast talking about how, opening a business in his hometown, like it all comes back to Vista. It's all about Vista's like coming home. So I think we have a really special city here, a special community where I don't know if is it the people? Is it the place? Is it a little of everything? What do you think it is that makes Vista so special?
It is that small town, big town feel. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have a tremendous city government takes care of us pretty good. This town's in good condition.
Yeah.
And I do travel and spend time in other cities, and it just has this small town. I think this downtown part of it really creates that feeling of small town.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. You're sitting around and talk to somebody, and they've come from Carlsbad. There's a million restaurants in Carlsbad.
Right.
And they come to Vista to go to restaurants,
We've got great restaurants.
Yeah. Great people.
Yeah, great people. Exactly. So what do you like most about your work running the North County Daily Star?
The daily involvement,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Somebody asked me yesterday, when are you going to retire? And I said, you got to get a job first to retire. Mm-hmm. I've never had a job. I've worked for myself since 1981.
Right.
So, I just like the involvement.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an activist,
Yeah.
I care about what happens in this town.
Right.
And that should lead you to be an active
mm-hmm.
if you really care.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's hard about it? What's the hardest part about the work that you do?
People expect you to kind of think their way sometimes.
Okay. I can understand that.
Yes. Sure you
I can relate to that.
And I just tell them I stay neutral. I try to stay neutral. I mean, if you sit down with me and we have a beer, you might hear more.
Right.
But as far as like the publication and all that, I really try to stay neutral.
Sure. So
it's safe.
Right. And so like any elected official, they had put out a press release, you're going to run it.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. But, people, they get mad at somebody and they want you to express that. And I go, write me up something and we'll see if we can publish it or not. They never do. So.
Right. Right.
That was involved with Little League. That was one of my key things. Parents come up to you. At that time, we had over 700 kids in that league.
Amazing.
It was huge.
Yeah.
So we had two parents. I had 1,400 people coming after me. And they come up and they complain and stuff. And I used to have a little piece of paper in my pocket and hand it to them, say, this is the next board meeting. Show up.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Just want to complain. Don't necessarily want to make a change.
But that's being American. We have freedom of speech. Thank God,
Yeah, absolutely. I've had that experience too where, someone is, at the chamber, we do lots of events, we do lots of activities, we have lots of programs, and somebody might kind of call us out on social media and say, hey, you should do it this way, blah, blah, blah. Great. Well, we have a committee meeting on Tuesday at this time. Why don't you join us?
Oh, yeah.
I'd love to have more involvement for sure, but but it does seem that people who want to be cranky on social media don't come.
They're a breed.
Yeah. Let's all be nice. Let's all just be nice. Right. Yeah. So tell me, do you have any other fun Vista stories that you would want to share that you think people should know? I know you have so many.
Yeah, it's just been an active town, and there's a lot of things going on. I just think we ought to just celebrate who we are as a town, and that it's the heart of North County. It's right between everything. It's between the ocean and the desert. I mean, you got Escondido and San Marcos, but the heart is Vista, and so there's many, many things. My personal relationship with people, some of like Judy Ritter, who's going to be at Hero, is going to be recognized as, and I knew her back Jazzercise days, and she's always been an activist, and I'd like to mold myself from that.
Yeah, that's great.
But as far as any special story, wow, I enjoy the street fairs and that stuff because people come from everywhere to see what's going on here.
Well, you naturally you like to hear people's stories, and I see you at Strawberry Festival when you have your booth. I'll tell a story about you. And I see you and Kathy, you're there at your booth. And a lot of people who have a booth, they kind of sit behind the table and they kind of wait for people to come up to them. No, you're out in front of your booth as people are walking by. You're handing them something or asking them, hey, where are you from? Or, hey, have you read the North County Daily Star? Or, hey, can I hear what are you, asking questions, not just saying, hey, read my publication, but asking them like, where are you from? And what brought you here? And so it kind of makes sense that you ended up publishing a paper because I think that you just seem like a naturally curious person.
One of the questions that you might ask, and I've heard you ask other people, when you were growing up, what did you have visions of?
Yeah, tell me.
And mine was Jack Parr and Johnny Carson and those people who interviewed people. I always thought that was, if I could do something, that's what I would like to do.
Well, and you kind of do that now.
Yeah.
I know for the videos that we produce for the Heroes of Vista, you've been such an important part of helping with that and being the interviewee, the off-camera interviewee to help people really shine, to tell their story. So that's been huge. So I want to thank you for that, for doing that.
It's fun. You get to meet new people and, the Heroes of Vista.
Yeah.
I mean, there's those two sheriffs this year that, saved somebody's life. And
yes.
There's a lot of special people in this town that need recognition.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that at the chamber we get to amplify those voices. It's a really cool thing. And I'm thankful to you for helping to bring their voices up so that we know that more people know about them and that we can work together to champion in those voices. Yep. So thank you for that.
It's a good time.
Yeah, it is. It is a good time. It's funny you mention Johnny Carson and interviewing people, because I enjoy that as well. I mean, that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this podcast and to have the chamber do it. And, I think I like to tell people stories as well. So it's kind of fun. Maybe sometime maybe we'll have to do some kind of like dual interview. I interview you, you interview me, and we have some sort of like back and forth interview. That'd be fun.
I have to mention, I've been married to the same girl now we got married in 1976.
Okay.
And I introduced her to most people as my girlfriend.
Right.
And my success in life is strongly built, getting emotional.
Oh.
But on my relationship and how she supported me through the years. When there was times when I shouldn't have got support, and she gave it to me. So
yeah, well, that's what a true partnership is all about.
So you don't see us not together very often.
Exactly. You guys are kind of, it's not Terry Woods or Kathy Woods. It's kind of Terry and Kathy Woods.
It's interesting going to business mixers, and I'll be around talking to people, hand them a car. Oh, I got this already. She's already talked to somebody. So.
Yeah, you guys are definitely two peas in a pod.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay, so, well, I was going to ask you if you had to choose a favorite city in North County, why would it be Vista? But you've kind of already answered that.
It's the heart of North County.
The heart of North County. So what do you think then? You see so much, you know so many people. What do you think are some of the biggest challenges that are facing North County and maybe Vista specifically right now?
I hate to say it, the homeless thing is a big thing.
Yeah.
It's become bigger than it should be, and it has to be handled somehow or another. And I don't think there's one way of handling it.
Yeah, it's complex.
We just can't check the box so it's taken care of.
Right.
There's too many people emotionally involved in it, at different levels.
Right.
I like the fact that we're fiscally strong, the town's strong economically. I just think that sometimes we need to the transparency part of it, and people say it isn't transparent, the city is not transparent. I'd like to be able to tell those people it's very transparent. I mean, every meeting's published, everything's done. And I one of my goals is to make everybody, well, I didn't know that. Well, if you'd read the North County Daily Star,
then you would.
You'd know about that. It's just so simple.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah.
So complex. I mean, the homeless thing it's real because it's there. We see it,
right.
And how we're going to handle that is huge. But and the future is in the hands of different generations coming up.
Right.
And
that happens every generation. Somebody steps aside and someone takes the reins.
Right.
Yeah.
We hope for consistency in some things,
Yeah.
That's not an easy question.
Yeah.
No, it's not. There's no easy answer.
Right. So. Right. Yeah. Well, just like the homelessness issue is very complex. There are a lot of complex reasons why people become homeless. It's not always just cut and dry, and there's not cut and dry answer to solving it. I will say I do think the city's done a good job with the homelessness strategic plan because it is a robust plan that has all of these different elements to it. And I think it's good that the city's acknowledged that it's a starting point and it's not the end all of solving homelessness, and it's just one piece. But it's really a regional issue. It's a national issue even. I mean, I grew up in Texas, and I don't know that I remember ever seeing a homeless person that I knew. I mean, there were people maybe panhandling, but I didn't think of someone being homeless until I moved here. And actually, I was very good friends with Jean Cole, and she was the very first person who she said, I'm working on all these things for homelessness. And I was like, oh, aren't you afraid to talk to, I had a very specific view. And she said, sit down. We need to have a conversation. I want to talk to you about this. I want to educate you about this. I was very young. I just didn't know. I didn't have that perspective. And I was so grateful to meet her, and she really opened my eyes to a lot of it. And I volunteered at Operation Hope, and I got involved, and I learned how complex of an issue it is. It's not so black and white. And I think you're right. I think homelessness is definitely a big issue facing our community. I
just think sometimes they're putting too much responsibility on the cities to cure this problem that's created
for lots of reasons.
State reasons, and a lot of different reasons, and we have to live with it. One of the other things that this is totally out of homelessness, but land rights and
local control.
I don't think people realize how it's being taken away from local you know?
Yeah.
And the state is getting bigger and bigger and telling us what to do. And I don't think people know that until they clear the house next door to them and they build a housing complex next door.
Yeah. And housing is definitely a complex issue as well. Affordability is I think I just read that San Diego just surpassed San Francisco as being more expensive or less affordable.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of reasons to live here, though.
There are a lot of reasons. Let's talk about the good things.
Yeah. And I like, it is the weather. I mean, 72 degrees is an average temperature in Vista. I mean, how can you beat that?
We have great parks.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Great restaurants, great amenities. Okay. So
the schools are adequate also.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah. So I was going to say that I know you mentioned that you're involved in a lot of organizations and you're really just involved in things. So what are some Vista nonprofits that are especially close to your heart?
Operation Hope.
Yep.
Definitely. And Solution for Change, obviously. Those both have to do with homeless.
Right.
And a Boys and Girls Club. Gosh, I first met Matt, who's the CEO there now. When I attend North Coast Church, and our first weekend of service, I was the project manager at Boys and Girls Club, and Matt had just got hired on Friday, and on Saturday he shows up, and we're painting.
Oh gosh,
it just destroying the place. I mean, really, and I got to meet Matt, and that's close to my heart.
Yeah,
bringing that up, I've found in my notes when we first started doing weekend of service, we needed tools from the city, and I had this girl's name was Rachel. And and I had to deal with you then. I don't remember other than I have notes that I got with you.
Yeah, I remember.
What was that project they used to call here in Vista?
Vista's Rock.
Oh, that was fabulous.
Yeah.
Why don't we have that anymore?
So it was fun. Well, it was funded by redevelopment dollars.
Okay, that's the answer to that.
Redevelopment went away. Yeah, so I was the project manager for that the very last year that we had the project for Vista's Rock.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
So always at the end of the interview, I always ask my guests a couple of rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So I want to ask you a book that you think everyone should read.
There's not one book, but one author.
Okay.
And that's James Michener.
James Michener. Okay.
He wrote Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
He's wrote, and all his books are 800, 900 pages. The Covenant, which is around South Africa,
right?
From the time little people were running around there till Mandela got put in jail. And one of the interesting, I think it's very apropos for where we're at in this world today, is Poland. It's amazing there's a Polish person in the world, how many times it got invaded. That whole world is always in flux. And here we are as we speak, they're being invaded, so that one, I would say right now, Poland by James Michener.
Okay.
Be ready to read.
Okay. 900 pages.
Easily.
Does he have any shorter books? No, I'm kidding. Because I really do try to read the books that people recommend on the podcast.
It's not something you're going to read a night,
Right.
You have to be dedicated to it.
Sure.
But like Hawaii's 1,340 pages.
Yeah.
It starts when there was no islands there at all till 1959 when it became a state.
Fascinating.
It gives all the history. Anybody goes to Hawaii, I usually try to give them a book.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. Tell me a favorite song, a song you always have to turn up.
Jump by Van Halen.
Jump by Van Halen.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, that surprised me. That's a surprising answer.
What did you think it was going to be, Perry Como?
No, I don't know. I didn't see you as a Van Halen guy.
Oh, Van Halen, yeah. Oh, I'm a Van Halen guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And it's Jump. If you know the words to it, I'm not going to try to sing them. But I
know that song pretty well.
And one of the things is, nothing gets me down.
Yeah. I think that's
that defines me, really.
I think you're right. I have never seen you down.
Well, there are moments.
I hope, but it's just for a second.
Yeah.
Just for a blip.
Good God, I have to get up because I'm not working for somebody. I always have to work for myself. You can't spend a whole lot of time whining about stuff.
It's like move on to the next thing. Okay. Yeah. All right. Tell me something that inspires you.
Be honest with you, my relationship with God.
Yeah.
My vision starts from that. Everything else is, he loves me, my wife loves me, my kids love me. Everything else goes from there.
I like it. Good. Okay. All right. Tell me a Vista business that you think deserves a shout out and why.
And I can make a lot of people mad, or I can make somebody very happy. Again, I mentioned it earlier, but Vista Village Pub.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is they survived when they were kind of given the story that if you guys come into Vista, that we're going to build this beautiful thing around you.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't happen for many 10, 20 years, something like that. And just now, it's happening. So Leroy and yeah.
And they serve a great breakfast.
Oh, great breakfast. It's their menu is well worth going to have,
Absolutely.
So.
I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a fan. Good one. That's a good one. Terry, thank you for joining me today.
Hey, this has been fun. We're done?
Yeah.
It's time to go?
It.
Oh, okay.
That's it. On to the next thing.
Yeah, right. Lunch Mob.
Yeah, Lunch Mob. Let's do it. Thank you for joining me, Terry.
Thank you.
Thank you to our guest today, Terry Woods from the North County Daily Star. And thank you for listening to Velocity, the Vista Chamber podcast. If you like what you heard, please tell a friend. Let's move Vista forward with Velocity. The Vista Chamber of Commerce is a nonprofit organization that serves as a catalyst for business growth. Check us out online at vistachamber.org.